Hello friends, I'm Ashley Sunshine and I'm back here live from Pardeskhana, January 22nd, 2022, going into yoga philosophy. And today we're going to talk about Brahmacharya, which is conservation of energy. Originally thought about as celibacy, well, maybe not originally, but it's been really transcribed as being celibacy, but in this modern day and age we can really apply it as just a conservation of energy or prioritizing yourself energetically. Okay, putting yourself first energetically. So we're going to dive into that in a moment. And I'm opening a yoga teacher training here in Pardeskhana at the end of February. So if you're interested or you know anyone that's interested, feel free to reach out or share this video with them. These videos are all going to be on YouTube, so check it out on YouTube, like, subscribe if you want to hear more. I'll be shouting weekly philosophy videos to you. And if you have any questions, comments, I will read all the comments and answer your questions. Yoga philosophy for me has really dramatically improved and changed my life. And I just love jamming about these philosophies and talks. And it's even better when I'm jamming with you. So if you have questions during the live or you want to chime in, please feel free, because this stuff really runs deep. The philosophy runs deep, especially today's topic. It is so deep. So I'm really excited to get started. I'm really excited to dive in with you. So like I said, Brahmacharya, this is the idea of our personal vitality and conserving our personal vitality. As celibacy, it meant to protect your own sexual energy, meaning that you're really only using your sexual energy with another being in order to procreate, which is the biggest miracle that we as humans can create, can manifest, is actually bringing a whole new human into this plane of existence, which is beyond. Okay, apparently I have a bad signal, so if this cuts out a couple more times, it is raining a lot here at my house, so maybe that's why. So we'll see how we go. So conservation of energy, using your vital energy, right, that we usually use to procreate, to create new life, which is a miracle beyond miracles, which is something that is so common and well known in our culture that we barely even consider it. But if we really think about it, our minds can be blown by the fact that we are human fractals, that we can birth other humans out of our bodies, especially women, and men and women need to come together in the force, the sexual force that drives us so far in our lives. It's penetrated all the marketing. Western society has really used sexuality as a way to get people to buy stuff because we know how deep it goes. It's programmed into our consciousness, into our subconscious. But this talk isn't really about sex. It's not about, celibacy. And we'll get into it about how sex has to do with it, but it's really about the modern day application of Brahmacharya, which is to conserve your vital life force, all right? And of course, every teaching that we receive brings a superpower. So when you conserve your energy, when you create healthy boundaries for yourself, to not spend your energy on things that don't feel good for you, or spend energy on things that aren't worthwhile or don't give back or are depleting you, then you become more vigorous, you become more powerful. Your word becomes more powerful. Your manifesting powers become powerful. Your magnetic powers become higher. So by conserving our life force energy, our prana, and by doing practices that build up our internal life force energy, or our prana, we become more magnetic. We become more powerful. And I love that. I love that the yogis really said, each one of these practices comes with a tangible and very fun reward. It comes with a tangible and very fun superpower that we actually naturally have as human beings. It is natural for us to have superpowers. It is natural for us to be able to perform magic. And that is why I call these videos Yogini Magick, because as we remember and return to the natural blueprint of being ourselves, we realize that we are magicians, we are witches, we are wizards. So by one established in conservation of their own energy, vigor is gained. And this is the Yoga Sutras, Book 2, verse 38. when there's no loss of our energy, then we gain energy. We are actually energy creating machines. We can create energy within our bodies. Newton's laws of physics tell us that that energy is neither created or destroyed, but yoga says that energy, yes, can be created within the being. We have, and maybe according to Newton's law of physics, this is just like we're accessing some sort of funnel or some sort of siphon or tube to universal energy. And yoga does point to this as well, that there is an infinite well of universal energy that exists in the cosmos and that also exists within us. So by conserving our own life force energy, we actually activate that well, and we can then pour or siphon energy from our own very well of the universal energy. So a lot of times we give away our energy without realizing it. And we think that it's a good thing, that we're a good person. If we're a loving and giving and generous person, then we will be rewarded. But oftentimes what happens is that we're loving and giving and sharing, and we're giving away, our energy and our time and our attention and our thoughts to people that don't necessarily give it back, or we don't necessarily receive. But we think that by giving that energy, we're showing love, and that, we're going to be taken care of, or something good is going to come back to us. And yoga tells us, no, actually, you shouldn't be, the way you love someone is not by giving them your energy and depleting yourself. That is not love. This is old attachment patterns that we're playing out, that we think that in order to receive love, attention, we think that in order to receive validation from others, that we need to give and prove ourselves as good enough. And this might be thought of as people-pleasing patterns, which many of us women can really relate to, that we have people-pleasing patterns that end up making us feel resentful, angry, bitter, and super depleted. Okay? So how do you create healthy boundaries for yourself? How do you say no when it's a no? How do you say yes when it's a yes? And it's this kind of slowing down. So a big thread that really runs through these talks about yoga is the part about slowing down, because we have within us an innate wisdom that teaches us and shows us what is right, what is accurate, and what is not. Your soul, your higher self, your true inner being knows what is right for you and knows what is not right for you. But a lot of times we fall into these old patterns, so we'll say yes before we actually mean it, because we want to please the other person, because we want that external validation. Okay? But the idea here is that if you slow down and say, okay, let me think about it, let me consider it, let me just have a minute and see and feel into if that's right for me, your body will tell you, your heart will tell you. So it's less in the mind. Now we think about, in the Western world, we think about pros and cons. If we make a list of pros and we make a list of cons, then we'll be able to decide if it's a yes or if it's a no. Now yoga tells us of course, yeah, use your mind for that stuff if you want to. It's okay, but that's not actually how we find it, because you have within you the blueprint of your well-being. You have within you a compass, an emotional guidance system that shows you whether or not something is fitting and accurate for you and your vitality. If something is going to conserve your energy, if something is going to help you build up and conserve your life force energy, or if it's not. Okay? So this is each one of our jobs, to get to know our emotional guidance system through trial and error. It's really important for us to slow down, become aware of how we're feeling, and try things out. And then afterwards, reflect on whether or not that was energy depleting or whether it was energy gaining. And if something made you gain energy, then it was a yes. And if something depleted your energy, it was a no. Okay? Now this is overriding a huge portion of the programming and the teachings that we've received in the Western world. Because a lot of the teachings that we've received have shown us that it is good to be depleted. If you're not depleted, you're not working hard enough. If you're not depleted, then you're not a productive member of society. And I just want to tell you that this is a man-made thought and belief system that is wrong, that is inaccurate according to yoga and according to my experience. That we can be valuable members of society and have our vitality really high. And actually, it makes us an even more valuable member of society if we take really good care of our energy, don't overdo it, don't be overproductive, and conserve that energy, because then we're living vitality and we can serve each other more. When we have a high energy, when we energetically prioritize ourselves, we can show up as better moms, as better dads, as better brothers and sisters, as better friends, as better coworkers, employees, bosses, etc., etc. It's really becoming the age of energetics. Your energy is the most important asset that you have. And if you're doing things that are depleting your energy, then you're going to end up in the cycle of suffering and chasing after pleasure and then losing the pleasure and going back to suffering again. But if you really prioritize your own vitality through slowing down, asking your emotional guidance system, tuning in, giving the yes or the no, not based on what other people will think of you, but based on what you feel. And then afterwards reflecting on, was that energy depleting or was that energy gaining? And when you do that, you're getting closer and closer and more connected to your own blueprint of well-being, which will bring peace on earth, ladies and gentlemen. It will, okay? It is. It's happening. Your vitality, your emotional guidance system, your conservation of your energy will bring peace on earth, okay? So a really beautiful question and super, super deep. What is love? What does love actually mean? The blueprint, the whole existence is built on love, according to the yogis. The whole existence is built on the true, pure energy of love. And this is where we all... All right, I'm back, I think. If you're watching, I would love to hear you in the comments, although I usually can't see the comments, so I'll check in with them after the video. All right, so thank you for being with me. Here we go. Again, so what is love? What is the true meaning of love? And how do we connect to that fabric that the universe is founded on? How do we really connect to where we come from and where are we going to, and then live love, okay? So this is a question that I would want to ask you, what is love, and have you answer it. I could talk about that for a whole nother video, and maybe I will. But when we talk about love in terms of sex and sexually connecting with another, sex is one of the things that drives us the most in this world, in this lifetime. And sex is also one of the things that can deplete us and get us trapped in negative cycles the most in this lifetime. Sex is also the thing that helps us to create the biggest miracle that we can create, bringing a new life to this world, like I said. So it's our duty. It's part of our job as humans. Love you too, Elad. It's part of our job as humans to understand our own sexuality and understand how to conserve our sexual nature. So just to briefly touch on that, and I don't want to talk about that too much in this video, but for men, ejaculation can often lead to depletion. So for men, it's really important to understand how to separate the orgasm from ejaculation. So this is like a job for men. I don't teach about that, but there's lots of material around about that. For women, it's important for us to understand how to have an orgasm without clitoral stimulation. Okay, so G-spot orgasms, cervical orgasms, etc., etc. Because clitoral orgasms lead to more depletion of our energy over time. Okay, and so this is, take it or leave it. With your own research. I'd love to hear your feedback in the comments if you have a different opinion, but this is what I've gathered from my own experience, from studying myself, from studying yoga, and from Tantra and other teachings. Clitoral orgasms deplete our energy. Deeper orgasms build up our energy. And so when we learn how to conserve our indulgences, right? And really go into the slow process of being in the fabric of love, then the orgasm, the deeper orgasm will happen naturally. And we're not chasing after that high and that dopamine release, right? The dopamine releases, such as social media, sugary foods, caffeine, alcohol, marijuana, all the good stuff, right? Clitoral and ejaculation orgasms, all of those lead to a dopamine high. So we're getting a little bit geeky here, you guys, that leaves us with actually lower levels of dopamine than when we started, which creates addiction cycles, okay? Really, really bad for the personal vitality. So it's really important for us to get slow drip dopamine. Slow drip dopamine is when we slow down, we take our time, we hold hands, we look each other in the eye. Looking each other in the eye for the first few seconds is really awkward, but after a minute, you get that slow drip dopamine, okay? And this is what's going to not deplete your energy, but actually build your energy. So this is what this Brahmacharya is talking about, right? Shifting our life, shifting our practices from that kind of chasing after the buzz, chasing after the high, which is really natural. And I have a lot of compassion for myself and others when we get into that cycle, because I get into that cycle too. But actually tapping into that slow drip dopamine and other feel-good hormones, right? Okay, so when we have vitality, when we do that slow drip, when we connect to that deeper level of pleasure within, we can show up better for the world. We can handle more energy. Our nervous systems get trained to handle more energy. And through handling more energy, through being able to hold more space with our being, we can actually feel even more pleasure and even more intensity of emotions. And it's amazing and giving us so much vitality and life force. So our big duty is to conserve our own prana and build it up. Conserve our prana and build it up. Don't waste our energy on things that are either fleeting kind of highs or that are actually stealing from us, okay? One of the biggest stealers of energy is stress and worry. Worry is a misuse of your imagination. Stress is a symptom of you not feeling good with who you are right now, okay? So it's calling us back to ground zero, to the center line, to the heart, and reminding us that everything is okay right now. Remind ourselves that everything is okay right now. I don't need anything in order to be okay. I don't need anything in order to be better. I'm getting better all the time. I'm good right now. So this is how we conserve our own prana. This is how we ground into the moment. And like I said, it's really easy to jump from one pleasure to the other. And the biggest, problem for those of us that are not married, and even those of us that are married, is the fantasies, right? So this is something I actually worked on with my therapist, which is really, really cool. And it's about going into your fantasies and going all the way to the end, okay? So, wow, I'd love for you to do this with me. So think about a fantasy that you have that takes you out of the moment, that makes you think that my life just isn't good enough right now because I don't have this thing. Or my life isn't good enough right now because I'm not dancing every day on a beach in Costa Rica. That's like one of my biggest fantasies that makes me want to run away from my life right now. So we know that we get into fantasy when we're in fight, flight, or freeze. So whenever you get into those stress modes of fight, flight, or freeze, you might have fantasies pop up into your mind. Maybe that there's a better man out there waiting for you, or a better woman. Or maybe that there's another country that you're going to live in and it's going to be so much better. Or maybe that, if you only had a better body, then you would feel that you'd be able to be successful or something like that, right? So the idea here is to allow yourself to go fully into your fantasy. So take my example of dancing every day on a beach in Costa Rica. So I have this weird vision, fantasy of me dancing naked with a bunch of other people in Costa Rica beach, okay? Every day. And yeah, for maybe 1 week, that would be cool. Maybe 2 weeks, that would be cool. And I'm like going into the fantasy and I'm enjoying those 2 weeks. I'm enjoying that 1 week that I'm like doing that. And then it's like, okay, 2 weeks have gone by. Now what? Now I'm just with like a bunch of weird hippies who like to dance on the beach every day and they don't do anything else. And like, they don't have any ambition or drive to like make a change in this world. And they're probably like complaining about stuff that doesn't even matter. And, hi, Aviv, thank you. So, like, where does this lead to? Where does this fantasy lead to? Well, it leads to frustration, and it leads to me not feeling like I'm fully aligned with my purpose and my intention and my dreams. So actually, is that, dancing naked every day on the beach for the rest of my life going to really serve my higher self? No, it's not. It's just an escape mechanism that I've created because I'm not finding that center point. I'm not finding the groundedness in my being now and appreciating what I have now. So doing practices like gratitude can also help build up your energetic vitality and help you practice Brahmacharya, or conservation of your energy. So I invite you to go on a little journey with your own fantasy. I shared this with a friend, and she told me that her fantasy is to go off by herself into a cabin in the woods and like read books. And she just wants to be alone. She just wants everybody to leave her alone and go be by herself in a cabin in the woods. But like, again, 2 weeks later, she's going to be terribly lonely. She's going to be terribly lonely. So how do I make the most out of my life that I have now? How do I make choices that aren't those extreme chasing after the fantasies, but are rather grounded and present in the moment and conserving my life force? Maybe it means I need to let go of some people in my life. Maybe it means I need to have those conversations where I'm making boundaries with my friends or with people that are taking my energy. Maybe it means I need to make better choices so that I'm not wasting my energy day in and day out. So there's a lot here, and it goes really, really deep, but I'll go for a little bit more and just tell you a couple more things that I think are really powerful. And as always, I recommend reading the book, The Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. This translation is by Sri Swami Satchidananda. And I'm on page 130. So as related to teaching yoga, so of course, most people that are reading this book are probably interested in teaching yoga. I'm a yoga teacher for over 15 years, and I teach yoga teacher trainings. So my next one starts in the end of February. I'd love, if you want more information, I'd love to speak. So teaching yoga, it's really important to practice Brahmacharya, because when you go to teach yoga, it's not like you're just giving information. You're giving an activation. When you teach yoga, when you teach something that is more than just giving information, you actually want to be activating your people. Also when I'm coaching, this is also applicable for coaches, mentors, any kind of guides who are interested in activating other human beings, activating the dharma within, activating the potential within, activating the skills, the talents, the gifts within. It's important that we have a high level of vitality in our own being, and that we're doing practices to build and strengthen our vitality. Because we're activating them, we're actually giving them a piece of our own prana. We're giving them a piece of our own life force energy. So we can't be tired and worn out and totally depleted and didn't get enough sleep and gave too much to everybody else and didn't give enough to myself, and then show up and teach yoga, right? You're gonna end up like almost taking from your students rather than giving them what it is your duty to share with them and activate within them, if that makes sense. So we need to keep our batteries full of energy. Do a lot of self-care. Brahmacharya is all about self-care and self-love. So when we do the self-care and the self-love, we build up within our bodies something called ojas, which is the subtle energy within our own body, which is the remembering that we are lovable, knowing deep inside that we are lovable, we are good, we are worthy, we are awesome, It's good to be ourselves. It's fun to be ourselves. It's joyful to be me. It's great to be me. It's great. People, people love being around me. It's this kind of energy. It's this kind of thoughts. It's this kind of vibe. So this is when we're full of ojas. We feel that we're lovable. We feel that it's good to be ourselves. And if our ojas is really down, if we don't have that life force vitality, if we don't have that ojas within, we're going to feel like everyone's doing us wrong. We're going to feel like, people didn't do enough for us and people are against us. This is the kind of mentality that arises when we don't do this work with ourselves, when we don't conserve our vitality and our life force energy. So when we do fill ourselves up with ojas, this is that self-appreciation, self-love energy, we build up our own personal magnetism. We're magnetic for those synchronicities, right? We magnetize the opportunities that our soul is craving. We're magnetizing the opportunities that our dharma, that will fill our dharma and clear our karma. Which, if you have any questions about dharma and karma, please let me know. If you don't know what these concepts mean, or, I brush over something and you don't know what it means, please write in the comments, let me know, and I'll be sure to address it. So when we build up our ojas, we build up our personal magnetism, our ability to create synchronicities, our ease within our own being, that we know that we're fucking lovable, we know that we're amazing, we know that life is good, we trust life, okay? Then things start to line up for us. Synchronicities happen, pathways open, doors open into our dreams, into our fulfillment and our satisfaction. And when that ojas is built up, it creates tejas. And tejas is our aura, or our glow. Okay? And when you're glowing, when you're bright, when you're shining, when you're happy with your life and you don't need any validation, right? You don't need to people please in order to feel okay. You don't need other people's approval, but you're actually just shining because you know that the brightest light you could ever find is within you. Then you're gonna automatically make others around you glow. When you glow, when you are not dependent on others in order to feel good about yourself, when you tap into the sweet nectar of your own light and your own life force, and you open the floodgates and let it build and conserve it so that it can build bigger and bigger and bigger. You build up your ojas, which then creates your tejas, your aura, your glow. And when you're glowing, others around you can't help it but start to glow too. And remember I said that this work will bring world peace. Well, it will. It will first bring peace in your heart. And then it will bring peace in your family. And then it will bring peace in your workplace. And then it will bring peace in your neighborhood. And it will go out and out and out and out from there. So I want to close this little talk with a little practice, because 90% of yoga is the practice. Only 10% is this concept, this philosophy, this talking. But it's cool because as we give our full attention to these concepts, we do the practice. So the philosophy is not lost on us, but it's just that if we're distracted and we're half listening, then we're not doing the practice. So I invite you, if you're here and you'd like to join, or if you're on the replay and you'd like to join for this practice, then go ahead and find yourself a comfortable seat. We'll just do about 3 minutes, and it's an energy building practice. And this is actually an energy building practice that Mary Magdalene teaches in the Magdalene manuscript. And she and Jesus were said to use their sexuality to build up each other's vitality. So they took on the duty of learning about their sexuality and their vitality and using it to help each other. Okay, especially in Maria Magdalena helped Yeshua to build up his energy. All right, So you're going to sit nice and tall. Close your eyes, relax, maybe roll your shoulders. And we're going to spend a few breaths just breathing into your pelvis. So you're going to inhale into your pelvis, into your belly, into your low back. And exhale, feel your pelvis. So like the consciousness centered around the pelvis. Inhale there. And exhale, a gentle squeeze of your low belly. Inhale. And exhale. Just feel the energy start to build in your Kundalini center, in your low belly. Just gently using the breath to begin to awaken this connection that you have to infinite cosmic energy. Take about 3 more breaths like this. Breathing into the dark, deep corners of your pelvis. Really deep breath to get full. And then exhale, gently squeezing the abdominal muscles, letting the energy swirl and sit in the pelvis. Deep, full breath. Now with the next breath, we're going to use the inhale to again breathe deeply into the pelvis, into the womb if you're a woman, or the etheric womb if you're a man. And exhale, push the abdominals and bring the energy up the spine and all the way up, up, up into your third eye. So again, inhaling into your low belly, fill up your reservoir with your breath, breathe into the deep dark corners of your pelvis, and then exhale, squeeze your abdominal muscles and your pelvic floor and bring the energy up your spine and curving into the third eye, awakening the frontal lobe of your brain. Again, do about 3 more like that. Inhale, low belly. Exhale, squeeze the pelvic floor, the low belly in, and imagine a light going up, 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 up your spine and curving around to the frontal lobe, the third eye between your eyebrows. 2 more. Noticing where you can soften. See if you can breathe a little bit deeper. And after your next exhale, you're going to release from the practice. So just take a couple of normal breaths, wiggling your fingers, wiggling your toes, and remembering how beautiful and lovable you are, how good it is to be you, how powerful you are when you feel good, and how it's also okay sometimes to feel bad, and that we know we have to go through that in order to remember what it's like to feel good. So we're releasing, opening your eyes and coming back and just noticing any shifts in your energy and just seeing how even a few minutes of conscious, energizing breath and practice can make a difference and can help curb some of our addictions, some of our cravings, and can help recenter us back into the batteries, the energy bodies that we truly are. I love you so much. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share this video if you liked it and if you got something out of it. I would be so grateful to spread the word and really, really honored to answer your questions. Big love.